Hello, gremlins! One of these days, we will not start in my office. But this is the easiest spot to put you up because, again, I can't really hold my camera super well right now. If you are new here, hi, my name is Catherine, and I was injured by a snowblower in February, which involved a small, tiny accidental amputation. So the tips of these two fingers are currently wrapped in gauze. One is mostly my original tip, and the other one is a constructed tip that a surgeon made using my own tissue. It was all there. They just like turned it into a fake tip that has no bone in it, so that's cool. And because of this, I now have 1.5 less bones than the average adult. So yeah, but I'm fine. These gauze things will eventually not be on. I do currently have to wear them on like 24 hours a day unless I'm doing physical therapy. I have exercises I have to do just to ensure that I have grip strength still, because you have to immobilize them a little bit because of the injury. So you will never see them without gauze until they are fully healed, just FYI. And by fully healed, I mean all my scabs are gone. So they'll just be in gauze. You will see them like this until I'm given permission to not be wearing these. And then that is when I will just have a hand that doesn't have stuff on it, which will be great because I am getting very tired of changing these 4 times a day. But onto the books, because that's why you're really here. You're not here to like learn about how accidental amputation happens and the whole process. I talked about that in a video. Weirdly, the second half of my Vampire Academy video, because I did the first half of that video, and then right before I finished this video, this happened. And then I, in that video, filmed a final clip because I had finished a book. Because all I could do was lay in bed because I was on some medication and this was very painful and I was waiting to go to surgery. And so I finished a book, did not even talk about this in part 1. I was just like, something bad has happened. I'm gonna end this video, we'll get into it in the next one, because I knew that I was gonna have surgery and stuff. So if you want to know all of the details, just watch Vampire Academy part 2. You can like skip around until you find that spot. I do think I cover it at the top of the video. Yes, I do, at the top of the video. Because I don't think I really, like, I read stuff and then I just like filled you in after the fact. So yeah, just watch that one. It gives the full details, but until then, gauze. This video though is going to be fun and exciting, at least for me. So, because kind of motivated by National Library Week, which as of posting this video would have been last week, but is this week for me. I was using my library's website. So I love using my library. It saves me time, it saves me money, it helps me find books that I may not be able to find other places. And recently they've been getting more books that I wouldn't expect them to get. So I have put in a ton of requests. What I do, I know a lot of people like to go and browse, and I have done that occasionally, but our library is downtown. It's in an area that's not super easy to like park at or just like casually go to. So my wife, Krista, works near the library, kind of. So she can sometimes pick stuff up for me if I request it, or if I go with her, like if we're running errands, we can stop there, stuff like that. So I will typically go on, search their online catalog, and then I will put in a request. And then whether the book is at my library or another library in the, I think it's Northern New York library system, I will like get a notification when the book comes in. So I put in a lot of requests in the beginning of April, and most of them have come in. I think I literally may have one book that's not in because it's newer, and sometimes if a book is newer, you don't get them, even if your request is like valid. Some libraries you cannot request a book until a certain date. Some libraries you can request, but you won't get the book until like it's spent a couple of weeks at their location. So it just depends. I did ask a librarian about this because I had a book. It took me 2 months to get a certain book. And I was like, do you know what was going on? Like, it kept saying I was #1 on the wait list and I just wasn't getting it. She's like, oh, so like your request was approved, but that library was giving their patrons some time to read it, so you were first on the list once it hit like the amount of time that they think is appropriate. So that's just an interesting thing I learned. But this entire video is going to be library books, and Krista is working a lot this weekend, which sucks, but I have a lot of books. So while my wife is very busy, I will read and hang out with the dogs. So I have already started one though. Of the books that I will be reading, the one I've already started is You Are Fatally Invited. I was curious about this one. The Literally Dead book club did this, and there is a live show up that I'm going to watch once I finish this. But yesterday Krista was tiling, so I guess, was it, yeah, they're floor tiles. She's been working on her bathroom. It looks incredible. We're doing a Tiana theme because that's my favorite princess, but she's been working super hard in it. But she ran out of tile, like floor tile, and the box came in yesterday, so she spent part of the evening just finishing, and she got all of that done. But while she was working on that, I started You Are Fatally Invited. This is a multi-POV mystery thriller, and all you really need to know are a number of authors have been invited to this island by a mysterious author whose identity is not known. Like, he has a pen name, but no one knows who that is. No one knows if it's still the same guy. No one knows if someone has taken over the mantle and it's someone else. So this mysterious person has invited a number of other authors to an island, and the idea is there are supposed to be murder mystery themed games, like mystery themed games, but some deaths are happening and things have taken a very dark turn. Now, this is definitely inspired by Clue. There's even a Clue-esque, oh, it's gonna be hard to do, map. Like, this is totally Clue. They say Cluedo because the author is technically from Texas, but also apparently lived in various other places, and like one of those places was France, and Cluedo is what they call it in non-American locations, I believe. So I don't know if they call it Clue in Canada. So I'm guessing it's Cluedo everywhere but the US because we're special. But there are multiple POVs, but we don't get everyone all at once. So you do get a character. The main character that you consistently get is Mila, who is running the event for the author. Now, she had her own plans, and if you will, when the book opened for me, this felt like Clue the movie, and Mila would have been the butler. Now, you do know in some situations the butler is, if you've seen the movie Clue, you know the butler is occasionally involved in various ways depending on the ending you see, but Mila felt like the butler, and then Mr. Body would have been the, like, person behind the event, and then everyone is a character. No one has color names. They just, some of them feel very, like, there's a woman in here who feels like Mrs. Peacock. There's someone who has kind of a Miss Scarlet vibe. There's a, so if you've seen the movie, there's Mrs. White, who is young. I would say there is a Mrs. White or Miss White-esque character in this as well, just based on personality. And then we have some male characters who fit kind of the parameters of the ones from the movie. So I'm getting very like Clue the movie vibes. Now, again, things have taken a twist. There is a cook and an assistant who you could also see as the cook and assistant in the movie. But overall, I'm having a fun time. It is an easy read, though you do have to pay attention to whose point of view you're in, but that's not bad. They're well labeled. There are some random Spanish words in here because characters are from various locations in the United States, I believe. The one guy was like, there was consistent Spanish for one of the POVs, and I don't remember if he said like where he's from. It didn't really matter. He just used Spanish. And then Mila does also use a little bit of Spanish, but I admittedly haven't looked it up. I'm just using context clues, even though I took Spanish in college and I should know what it means, but I don't. I'm really bad at things. But I'm enjoying this so far. Again, super speedy read. I read 150 pages, super fast. The print is huge. I think if you like a thriller, I'm saving my thoughts till the end, but this just feels like a fun, like, Clue-inspired book. A little bit like, if you read those, oh my gosh, my face itches. I'm gonna put this down. But if you read those, like, Clue books, if anyone remembers these, there were, like, actual, like, published books, a little bit like an Encyclopedia Brown, but a little bit more adult, where it was inspired by Clue the game, and they just, like, took the characters and made, like, fun little mysteries that you could solve yourself. It's giving me that vibe in a good way, so I am enjoying it so far. I will give you final thoughts probably when I'm done with it, because I'm gonna try and blow through a hunk of it today, during lunch, after work, depending. Definitely after work. I just don't know about during lunch. And then I have 4 other books, so I am gonna show them to you, and I kind of have to read them in this order based on their return dates and the fact that a lot of them are newer. The last book that may or may not be coming before this video is done, I will mention, it's The Lamb. I really, really want to read it, and I did not think my library would have it, but they did in the system. But I don't know if I'm getting it on time. So if not, it won't be in this video. If it does show up, I will show it to you and I will tell you that I'm reading it. We'll see. I already have a lot of books, but the books that I do have so far are At the Bottom of the Garden by Camilla Bruce. I have to read this one next because of the due date. Then They Bloom at Night, which I'm very excited about. Also did not think they would have this one, but they did, and I'm very excited. This is by Trang Than Tran. I believe that's how you say it. I am intrigued by She's a Haunting, but this looked so freaking cool. So I thought I would try this one first. Then I am really excited about this. This is Private Rights by Julia Armfield, and I loved Our Wives Under the Sea so much. It was so good. So I'm very intrigued about this one, though I believe this is inspired by King Lear, I think. And have I read that recently or ever, actually? I don't know. But I'm gonna put this with the other stack, and then we just have one left. This is an older book. So this is Mrs. March by Virginia Fado, and I got this because I loved Victorian Psycho, and this is actually her debut. So I'm gonna try this one out, see what I think, and then yeah. But that's the list so far. I'm gonna go because my work is about to start, but I wanted to fill you in on that. And I will fill you in on my thoughts on Fatally Invited. You are Fatally Invited when I get the chance. So yeah, I will talk to you later, Gremlins, when I have book updates for you. Good morning, Gremlins. We're in my kitchen. It's a little loud actually because my coffee maker is going. So I am here making coffee. One, because it is before work and I desperately need coffee. And two, I have book updates because I finished You Are Fatally Invited last night. Okay, so remember I told you it was giving me like Clue vibes? I think I said this in here. I also typed up like a mini Instagram, like I'm halfway through this what I'm thinking thoughts kind of thing. So definitely feels like Clue. The more the book progresses, I do think it's a little long. So it is interesting. So there's supposed to be like games. Some of those happen, some don't. There's like a locked in their rooms moment. There's really just some unbridled chaos as the story continues. But what's interesting to me, okay, so we get all the points of view of the guests at a certain point. So every single person who's staying there, we get a point of view from. There's Rodrigo, Olivia, Ashton, Violet, Fletcher, Cassandra, and then Mila, who is the like event host who's been hired but is also like kind of in the know about some stuff. Hi, you can't be up here. There's Binks, our biggest of cats, on the counter. Oh, that's my coffee. Oh, and Goose is running around. Our smallest cat. But okay, I will give you pets. So in it, we're mostly, okay, I gotta move him because he's gonna knock the camera over. Ah! Oh, Goose, it's okay. Goose thought I was gonna do something. Brain. We have a bunch of mail behind me, I think, that you just saw. Yeah, just a pile of stuff. Brain. Okay, so we get all these points of view. The tricky part in some of them is so there's someone named Fletcher, that's his last name. He always refers to Ashton as Carter, which is Ashton's last name, and it threw me off a few times until I figured out what was going on, because I was like, who? And then there is a thing that happens with Fletcher where someone calls him by his first name, but they always are like doing something where he's correcting them. So it always has like that name and then him being like, no, and it'll say like Fletcher said, or like Fletcher is saying something. So that one was easier to catch, but just tricky. So I will say, I do think it's a touch long, and that I get that they want to give us all the points of view because they want us to try and solve the mystery and figure out who Alistair is, the writer, but they add in she adds in 2 points of view at a certain point that they're not named specifically, so they're like identifiers. So at a certain point a Clue game comes out and it has like people's names, their professions, and then like their secret, and there are 2 points of view that appear that are by that like secret identity, like the secret they're keeping, because it's a noun. And I just didn't need those. Like, I didn't know that they were like super. Hi, Goose. There's a goose on the counter. Hello, Goose. You can't be up here either. You can kind of see her ears. Hi, I don't want you to fall. Hi. Okay, we're not moving. If I move too much, she's gonna fall. Also, Binks, what are you doing? Oh my goodness. This is why I don't film in my kitchen in the morning very often. I really didn't need those 2 points of view. And I will say, I do think if you were paying attention, you could solve everything. And I say this because I have been very tired after work. So I was just reading for the fun of it. Like, I was not trying to puzzle out who Alistair was. I was just letting the story go where it wanted to go. I do think you could solve it, because when the reveals happened at the end, my brain was like, oh, that makes sense. So like, even casually reading it, I think you'll clock the clues that are coming at you. There is one odd thing for me in here. And okay, so there is a book mentioned as a childhood favorite book. It is quoted once, mentioned a handful of times, and I'm going to say the book itself does fit with this character. So the character, it's Ashton. I'm just going to tell you it's Ashton. Has water as like an association for him. It's also what his book is about. So like having his favorite book be this book that has water in the title by an author who is currently being charged with a number of things. And you may recognize that author's name. Starts with an N. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to talk about it. Because it's horrible. It's like truly awful. And I don't want to give that man any attention. So I'm just going to say I think it's odd that that book is in here, even though it does fit with that character. Like it fits with Ashton's, like the book he wrote. It fits with Ashton's like storyline that we're going with. But I also was like, this came out after that. Was it like too late to find a replacement book? Like, would that have been too hard? Did your publisher not want to do that? Because I was just like, I don't want this in here. And so I was just kind of like rolling my eyes a little, because I was like, why is this here? This also happens to me now when I see references to a certain wizard book. And I know that there are certain authors who have in later publications actually removed those references because they don't want them in their books anymore. But I just kind of like roll my eyes a little bit, just because terrible people, and I don't want to give them attention because they're terrible people. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Hi, Binks. See, again, this is why I don't film right here in this kitchen. Oh my goodness. You're gonna take out my camera with your fat butt. Go. Get down. I'm allowing the goose because she's tiny. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Now I'm like super distracted. But I thought it was a fine time. I think it's too long. I know I've said that 3 times, but it was fun. Like, it was fun to follow. I do think it's a solvable mystery. I didn't need all the points of view. The guest ones are fine, even though I didn't really care about Fletcher's point of view. I'm sure it was important in that everyone get one, so you don't think someone is inherently Alistair, but I just didn't like Fletcher's point of view. Beyond that is done. I'm gonna watch the Literally Dead book club video of it while I'm working, so it'll be interesting to hear what people think. But if you like Clue, I think you'll really enjoy this, like the movie, those books that had like little mysteries in them that you could solve with the Clue characters. So I do think it's enjoyable. I would recommend it. I just still think it's weird that there's a reference to that author in here kind of consistently. But we're now on to the next book. So this one is At the Bottom of the Garden, and part of this is covered. So, okay, this is the brief synopsis for you. A murderess becomes the guardian of 2 very unusual girls in this mesmerizing gothic novel from acclaimed author Camilla Bruce. And so Clara Woods is a killer and perfectly fine with it too, so what if she takes a couple of lives to make her own a little bit better? At the bottom of her garden is a flower bed, long overgrown, where her late husband rests in peace, or so she's always thought. Then the girls arrive, and that's all I'm going to tell you, because I feel like some synopsises give too much away. So that is the next book, because it is due the same day as You Were Fatally Invited. So the plan is to read this. I know my workday is going to be busy. I also have to run to see a doctor, not for my hand. Very briefly, it's not anything big. I have to go get a shot. It's not a huge deal. I have to do that during my lunch break, so that's happening. And then, oh my gosh, I forgot that music was so loud. The dogs are listening to music to like keep them zen during the day, and it's sometimes very loud. So yeah, I'm gonna head upstairs. I'm gonna get to work. I will read At the Bottom of the Garden possibly while I'm waiting at the doctor. If not, maybe sometime tonight, but I'm not even sure that's gonna happen. I may not get to it till the weekend. It's just work is super busy, and with the doctor thing, like, I don't know that I'm gonna get any reading done until tonight. But today is also Yellow Jackets Day, so it's the finale of Yellow Jackets, so we're watching that after work. But I need to go, so I will talk to you later, Gremlins. If you did read Fatally Invited, let me know what you thought. I'll probably ask that after each book because there's so many of these and I consistently forget to ask at the end of the video. So if you read You Were Fatally Invited, let me know your thoughts, because like, I thought it was fine. It didn't knock my socks off, but it was like a fine time. But yeah, so I will talk to you about stuff, possibly not At the Bottom of the Garden, possibly Yellow Jackets, when I get a chance. So talk to you later, Gremlins.
different narrators. So this is for April, just a little reminder if you don't know, we're reading The Inheritance by Trisha Seclicha. So if you read like The Island Story with All the Strangers and you want to read an island story with a family instead, this is the vibe for you. I'm gonna have my co-hosts introduce themselves. I would love to know, your name, your channel, maybe what you read, and like a recent favorite mystery, thriller, or horror. That's what I love to gauge your first take.
Hello. It is going to be slightly chaotic. You might not even be at a good angle. I don't even know. There are dogs behind you. I am down here, Krista Court. I did not vlog at the end of yesterday. We did watch the Yellow Jackets finale, and that was really good. I'm very curious to see how all of that shakes out next season, cause a lot happened, a lot. So Krista guessed one reveal and I guessed another reveal, but I still thought it was really, really well done and I really enjoyed it. Hold on, Parker, enough water, bud. He's decimated 2 different water bowls at this point and he needs to not drink that much water. He will drink water until he explodes. So I have to like tell him when to stop sometimes. So, brain, what was I saying? Okay, so Yellow Jackets finale was really good. We watched so much TV yesterday. We watched Yellow Jackets, we watched Grace, we watched Dr. Odyssey, Next Level Kitchen, or Chef, or whatever that's called. And then we watched some YouTube too. But yeah, so lots of stuff. Then I didn't read at all yesterday, but then Krista had court this morning. So I went with her because we were gonna get breakfast after. So I went to court with her and that means I sit in the car and I read 100 pages of At the Bottom of the Garden, which felt very solid, very nice. So I did read a lot of that. Then I will tell you about that in a sec. So besides reading, after that we ran to Chrissy Bean, this cafe I like, and we both got some kind of breakfast. I got the sandwich I get every time, the North Country Girl, I think is what it's called. I always get it on a croissant now because I think it tastes really good. And then I got an Americano hot with lavender because I like it. I get the same thing every time. Krista got a turnover and see, this is why I said not to drink so much water. She got like a turnover and we ate in the car in the TJ Maxx parking lot. And we're going to TJ Maxx because Krista wanted to get some, we have like some Walmart blankets from last Halloween, a couple Halloweens before that, like we have a lot of them, but the dogs like kind of tear them up just being on them a lot, and she wanted to get some like nicer replacement ones that are a little thicker. So we wound up getting a really nice plain one, and we found a Mean Girls one that we got because we saw Mean Girls the musical together. So we've seen it twice together now, but we just thought it was fun, so we got that. And then what else? We did so many random things. We went to Petco because they were doing, we're not getting any animals, please note, but they were doing Piggy Palooza, which apparently meant they were gonna have a ton of guinea pigs, but they had 3 guinea pigs. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to see the guinea pigs. Because I just assumed they were gonna have like extra guinea pigs from other stores or something. I don't know. We did that. We popped into Michael's just to pop in. There was absolutely nothing to look at that I was interested in. Then, oh my gosh, we ran so many gosh dang errands. We went to Five Below, which I got something at Five Below that I really want to show you, but I left them upstairs. Please note, it goes along with your name, kind of. For copyright reasons, you are in no way a gremlin from the feature film franchise. You are, though, a small being that causes chaos in technology. Please hold. Parker, stop! So, just copyright reasons and all of that jazz. You are not a creature that cannot be fed after midnight. You are a tiny tech creature that is not copyrighted and did exist before those films. But I do have something very cool to show you. What else? We went there, walked around. Then we had to go to Lowe's because Krista needed some stuff for projects. Then what else? Oh, we got a sink. We need a new faucet for downstairs. Then what else did we do? Oh, we had to get dog food. We were running around the entire day. The entire morning, really. We got dog food. We went to Ollie's to look for a cabinet, like a metal cabinet to put stuff in, and we wound up getting some books for other people. I got a book that will be useful next month when I'm doing a bunch of Star Wars stuff. So I got that book. It was really cheap. And then Krista got me Taco Bell for lunch and then we went home. So we laid in bed, like we ate Taco Bell. Then we both took a nap and then we basically had to take the dogs out. And then like she was kind of getting ready for court after that. So she's at court. I think I got all that covered. And while we do not normally eat out this much, a local place is doing this special barbecue thing today. So she ordered it to be delivered. So that's coming at 6. So I have to be downstairs anyway to keep an eye on that. And then, yeah. So back to the book. I think I filled you in on everything that you have missed that has occurred since I last updated. But At the Bottom of the Garden, I didn't read you the whole description, and I could have because I'm gonna give a little bit of, not away, it's in the description. I won't tell you everything. So I did mention that Clara Clara Woods is a killer, which is a keynote for us, the reader. And she winds up taking in her nieces, and these nieces come from money. She basically wants to siphon as much money from them as she can. She does not actually want to have taken, like, she didn't want to take them in. She was just like, I'm gonna find a way to get their money. Even though the will stipulates, like, there are a lot of stipulations in this will. A key thing to know about Clara is she really likes diamonds. She did not like her husband, and she does a lot of things to get what she wants. So Parker is standing next to me and feels me scratch his butt, and he's wiggling like crazy. So she's taking them in, and it turns out that her two nieces, after the death of their parents, may have some special gifts. So the youngest, Violet, has always kind of had a keen sense for people, like what's going on with them, their state on the mortal coil, as you will. So she can see ghosts now. So she sees dead people, and that's going to be a problem for her aunt, you would think, because she can see dead people. And her sister Lily has another gift. They don't talk about it on the back, so I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but she also has her own kind of gift. Hello. I have to edit that clip slightly. There was a whole thing. Everyone is fine. But a bone, like a dog bone, not an edible one, like a chew toy kind of thing. Kira had it, then Chloe wanted it, then Parker didn't want them yelling at each other. So like all the dogs converged in one spot to yell. Briefly, they then stopped. Like they all stopped. And again, everyone is fine. It was just like barking at each other very loudly, and then they all just stopped. But I had to get up very quickly to go be like, ah, what are you doing? So what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Yeah. So Lily has her own kind of gift. I won't tell you what it is. And it's also kind of beneficial. Sort of. You'll understand when you read it. Also, this book is set in the 1970s. So I thought, because it kept saying Gothic, and I kept, this is my own fault. You can be a Gothic book set in not the like Victorian time period, like Victorian Gothic was. But it's set in the 70s. So I feel like Haunting of Hill House is set in the 70s, 60s, 70s. So you can be a Gothic novel. For some reason, the way this was set up, because they don't mention anything like modern on the back of this, I just assumed it was an older, like late 1800s, early 1900s. No, 1970s. So and there's some mention of TV. They actually don't mention a lot of like specific things. The Mountain K2 is brought up, and like some television-y stuff, nothing super important, but like there are cars, there are phones, there are planes. Fashion is very 70s when it is described to us. So that's what you've got. But it is really interesting. I will say the house on the book, the house is blue in the book, but it doesn't seem like it's this house. Parker, please stop. You're gonna make yourself sick. You've already made lots of I've had too much water sounds. I'm gonna have to move that water bowl. So we're almost done. But yeah, they're in like a smaller farmhouse. So the cover is a bit, to me, misleading, but it does look very cool. It looks very Hill Housey, but the house is much smaller. There is a big garden, but the way this house is described, I would say like it's kind of like a slightly renovated old farmhouse. So don't go thinking it's like a very chic, fancy estate. But yeah, so there's that. Also, there's a lot of taxidermy in this. Also, why are you focusing on sorry? Don't do that. I'm right here. Thank you. But there's a lot of taxidermy mentioned, and the taxidermy gets an interesting plot line, which I was not expecting. But yeah, so that is everything for this. I am enjoying it a lot. I'm hoping to finish it while Krista is at court, because it reads really fast. So that's the goal. Beyond that, I think that's everything for now. I'm going to drink some sparkling water because I have it, and chill probably. So the dogs have music on that I'm going to turn back on. It's not even like copyright music. I don't think like I could have played it, but it's turned up kind of loud. So I'm going to turn that back on for them, but I'm going to watch some YouTube that I have saved that I haven't watched yet. Jan has her Blood on Her Tongue book, and I loved that book. I just read it in my last vlog, so I'm curious to know her thoughts, because she also really liked it from what I remember on Instagram. And then what else? Oh, KK slash Where's My Library Card posted reading the first Hunger Games book, so I'm curious about that. And then I think that's really it for booktube. I just have some like random stuff I'm gonna put on, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep an eye on the dogs too, so my attention will be kind of split for a bit, so I'm not filming. But I will at some point show you the things I was talking about that I got at Five Below that again are not you, but have a similar name, gremlins. So yes, I'm gonna let you go. I also need to remind myself to edit that clip because it gets real loud and I kind of yell. I tell them just like calm down, but my calm down voice is a little bit loud and no one needs to hear that. And also they were fine. They just like, it was a lot of barking. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I will talk to you in a bit, gremlins, when I finish At the Bottom of the Garden. Also, we have fun plans for tomorrow and I am gonna take you along for some like minor filming. So you will get that tomorrow, but Krista still works. So it's a lot of work that she has going on this weekend. So I will talk to you later when I have At the Bottom of the Garden updates, gremlins. Hello, you're getting a very quick, very poorly lit update in the bedroom. This is the office. You are in the bedroom. Also, I think my camera is crooked. This is just what we're doing really fast. First, I said I wanted to show you these. So at Five Below, they have these like metal gremlins figures. Had no idea, but I got Gizmo and Stripe. They're both very, very cute. I'm going to take them out of their little packages and put them on my bookshelves behind me. Yeah, you are really crooked. We, again, are going to be very fast. And I finished At the Bottom of the Garden. This is definitely a fast-paced read. I enjoyed all the points of view. I almost want to say this is like Matilda and like practical magic. Almost like in that their guardian wants to just like get their money. I would say a tiny bit Series of Unfortunate Events, but it ultimately leans very practical magic to me, but the magic is different. But this was really enjoyable. The ending is lovely, especially if you really hate Clara. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give anything away, but we learn more about how Violet can see ghosts and a little bit about the secret power I told you Lily has, but I haven't gone into detail. We get more of that and how it connects to them and why it became so different, or like really came into power after the death of their parents. Yeah, we just get a lot of explanation. I really enjoyed it. It was a super quick read. Krista even, like, we watched some YouTube and I read it, but I really enjoyed it. I do have to go. We are going on a trip, but this was very good. I highly recommend it if you liked any of those growing up and you want a more adult version. So I will talk to you later, but please enjoy any scenic things I decided to film while we're out and about today. So gremlins, please enjoy.
Hello. Coffees. Chais. Sign that perfectly encapsulate what happens to me every single morning. And oh, I gotta eat. Behold the water. This is all you're gonna see. And now we're going to go like this. And there's some trees. Please ignore people's license plates. I'm trying to make them blurry just by the sake of not really filming them.
Well, I'll do a big circle. You'll get your water.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
It'll still be silly, I think, because I'm on the wrong side of the car.
Yeah, you're gonna have to shoot.
I'll have to shoot across you.
There's my window.
Okay. Be
Go
ready.
straight. Go straight. Water.
Oh, yeah.
There's some water right now.
There it is. There it is. We're at, what is this?
Sackett's Harbor.
Yes.
This is Sackett's Harbor.
Behold, Sackett's Harbor. And water, and water, and water. And our GPS. And now the water is gone. Behold some historic houses. Okay, gonna go. We had brunch. Oh, I can show you the brunch place. So lots of cars, lots of houses, some places, some things. My hair is blowing in the breeze because I opened my window.
Yep.
Behold, behold. This is where we had brunch. Right there. We also had coffee. Over there.
Eek, that guy almost hit me.
Yep, yep. I would have caught it on camera. That would have worked out. All right, I'm gonna go. Talk to you later, gremlins.
Good morning, my dear gremlins. It is Monday morning. It is before work. I had physical therapy this morning, so they look very nice. They're wrapped very well because I didn't do them. But I had physical therapy and I always get done a little bit before work, at least typically. And then I made some coffee and I got all my stuff set up for work, even though I'm early. So that's all set up, but I wanted to fill you in because I know, okay, I know At the Bottom of the Garden got like a very quick recap because we were kind of about to leave the house, but I can't really say too much about that book without spoiling it. So know that I enjoyed it. And I do think if you want like a slightly more frightening version of a like orphans in danger story, that that would work for you. I really think people who liked the series of Unfortunate Events books would like it, just because I feel like it ties very well into those similar plots. So I did enjoy it. I had a fun time, and it's a super fast read, but I could not say a lot about it without giving something away, because the synopsis for that one is very vague. So I actually could have read you the synopsis and you'd still be fine. But for that one, I'm not going to tell you anymore, just that I enjoyed it. But I'm on and almost done with my third book of this vlog. So I started last night They Bloom at Night by Tran, I believe. They are a beautiful writer. They have done incredible work with this book. I definitely need to read She Is a Haunting. So in this story, we are in, I'm not reading you the synopsis, but yeah, because I don't think I have, but I don't want to like tell you too much because this is really good. Okay, this is what I will tell you. This is part of the synopsis. Since the hurricane, the town of Mercy, Louisiana has been overtaken by a strange red algae bloom. Noon and her mother have carved out a life in the wreckage, trawling for the mutated wildlife that lurks in the water and trading it to the corrupt harbor master. When she's focused on survival, Noon doesn't have to cope with what happened to her at the cove, or with the monster itching at her skin. Mercy has never been a safe place, but it's getting worse. People are disappearing, and the only clues as to why are whispers of underwater shadows and warnings to never answer the knocks at night. So with all that going on, this is also in the synopsis, but I will phrase it a slightly bit differently. So this harbor master that Noon and her mother work for, he basically owns their boat. The boat belonged to her father, and there's a lot of debt on this boat. And he, at a certain point, has decided they're kind of monster hunters because they brought him some strange things in the past. And he is sending them to find a creature that they believe is kidnapping people. Now, the big issue here is they believe that this monster has kidnapped a scientist who was part of an expedition, and that scientist was doing something, and that's all we know. Where I am so far, we have learned some about the scientist. We have met a number of characters. Like, so many cool things are going on that I cannot tell you about because it will ruin this book for you. But there's like so much happening. And the book is also not, like, it is horror, and this is YA, but some of the scenes are very, very creepy. The book itself, while horror, is also an examination of gender, identity, being someone your parents don't approve of or accept, making your own way in life. We have met characters throughout the LGBTQ plus spectrum. So we have a bisexual character who has appeared. There is a trans lesbian character, I believe, or trans queer character. I forget how she identifies. Covey, who is the harbor master's daughter and does appear in the synopsis, she is a lesbian. And Noon, to our knowledge, doesn't have an official identity. Noon does discuss having thoughts on, I'm going to say they, just in this situation, just for this. Noon is referred to, I believe, as she by her mother, but they, in terms of how they identify, have struggled for a long time because there's a lot happening with their culture and who they want to be. And a lot of this is now also tying into this creature and finding this creature and understanding what is going on with this creature and what this creature does. And it is just incredible. The writing is beautiful. I'm not even done with it, and I'm already like, this is so good. I definitely do need to read She Is a Haunting because I'm like, this is incredible. And I'm very sure I could count She Is a Haunting towards my like June reads because I'm making a very slow, I do this every year. I try to read only books with queer characters in them for June. So I like slowly put together a list. I want to do some rereads this year because there are a few books that I like really want to reread. So I have those kind of set aside, and I feel like I should add this. But Tran's book is just beautifully done. They have done an incredible job of setting up these characters. I'm very invested in everything that's going on. There's also a cat, but I'm just having a wonderful time. I cannot wait to see how this ends. I really only have like maybe 80 pages left. I was breezing through this yesterday while Krista was at court, and so I'm truly almost done. I want to finish it because today we're going to the library after work. My library is open pretty late because of where it's located. They like to leave it open a bit later than some other places just because it's also used by folks who need resources, and so they try and keep like stuff open so they can have heat, use the bathrooms, stuff like that. So they like to stay open until like 8 a lot of the time. So I am hoping to swing by after work. We have a couple other errands to run, but I want to return this So I want to finish it. And then I have the 2 other books I finished already, At the Bottom of the Garden and You Are Fatally Invited. I want to get those back because they are also due very soon. And then I have a book that's in, and I want to just show you the library in this video because this is a library books specific video. And I'm also fingers crossed, that The Lamb, my final hold, is in. So I thought that the email I got would be to say The Lamb was at the library, and it's actually not. It is a different book. The Last Sessions by Julia Bartz, which I'm super excited about because I freaking love The Writing Retreat. That book was chaotic as heck, but I was obsessed with it. So I'm very curious to read that. And it works out perfectly because the last time I read that book, I want to say I was also reading Art Waves Under the Sea, or I read them very close together. And I have Rites of Passage by, oh my gosh, Julia Armstead. I think that's it, down there, and that's my next read. So yeah, that's the plan. I may have to move some stuff around reading wise based on like when stuff is due, because when I check out the Last Sessions today, it may be due before Mrs. March, so I may have to slot that in a little sooner, but that's the plan so far. I have to go because I also want to grab coffee before work starts. I am almost done with my cup of coffee. I'm drinking it out of this haunted house cup that has spiders on it. This is from like Big Lots before they closed. Sorry, I was holding it, so I wanted to drink some. But, yes. So I kind of want to get more coffee because I'm almost done with that cup. I started drinking it very early in my period of time coming home. So yeah, but I will fill you in on what I think of the end of They Bloom at Night with no spoilers. I do not want to spoil anything because everything has been so fun and like so well done that I want you to read them. So I'm gonna go. I will talk to you later, Gremlins, when I finish They Bloom at Night, and then library will occur. So I will talk to you later. I also got to charge my battery so it doesn't die while I'm at the library. So talk to you in a bit, Gremlins. Hello, Gremlins. I am here with a They Bloom at Night update. So the end of this book, so well done. There are so many quotable elements in here. One of them is, oh gosh, so this is a library book, and I also don't typically mark up my books. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I had to do it a ton in college, and I just like don't want to make myself do that. Though there are some books I'm debating. What is it? Oh, I'm not gonna be able to find it now. There was like a really cool quote about like how being trapped in the body of a girl when you are not a girl, going through like puberty, or like just existing as a girl when you're not a girl, is its own horror. There are just so many quotes. You should read this because the quotes are beautiful. This also, again, does not read young. Like, this is YA, and I understand that our main characters, I think, are maybe 16, possibly 15, 16, because Noon says 14 at a certain point, but this happened 2 years. That event happened 2 years prior. So I think Noon is 16, but this is just so good. It is just a wonderfully written book about so many topics. Also, there is a line where it says like the future is trans, the future is not binary, the future is soup. And I was like, I really love the future is soup aspect, because just like everything is combined. It was just lovely. I don't know why that just like stuck with me, but this was so freaking good. I really, really enjoyed this. I don't know if it makes my like top books. I have circled it as a contender. So what I've been doing, I'm gonna put this down, throughout the year so far, is I'm writing down every book I'm reading. I do not star rate, if you have not noticed. I just don't do it, because some books I just feel I can't. Other books I'm like, I have tried in the past to star rate, and I always just feel kind of like about it, so I just don't do it. Either I like the book, I don't like the book, or I have not DNF'd anything recently. I have in the past, but like, if I'm really not enjoying a book, I'm just gonna stop reading it. But this was very good. I also, oh no. So I had to change my gauze. If you can tell, they look different. And there's ointment on them. And I totally forgot it was on the palm of my hand. Anyway, Brain. But I finished that, which means I can take it back to the library. And what's wild is, okay, the next book I'm reading is Private Rites by Julia Armstead. Armfield. It's Armfield. I did use the wrong name. Armfield. Julia Armfield. And literally in the description of this book, so this is just the synopsis, it says, it's been raining for a long time now. So long that the land has reshaped itself and old rituals and religions are creeping back into practice. Sisters Isla, Irene, and Agnes have not spoken in some time when their father, an architect as cruel as he was revered, dies. His death offers an opportunity for the sisters to come together in a new way. In the grand glass house they grew up in, their father's most famous creation, the sisters sort through the secrets and memories he left behind until the fragile bond is shattered by a revelation in his will. That's all I'm gonna read you, but this is also water focused. I feel like Armfield really enjoys like the transitional elements of water, because Our Wives Under the Sea is also about like water and like the water changing someone, and this feels like water has changed the earth. I don't know. I'm very excited for this. Have I read King Lear in a long time? No. I'm just trying to see how many pages this is without getting spoiled. Okay, so probably 289. This is not very long. Our Wives Under the Sea was really short, so this is longer than that, I think. But I'm very excited to start this one. I will read this, and then so long as we do get to the library today, when I finish this, I will have to read the last session after, because it for sure is going to be due back before Mrs. March. So I'll read this, and then next book will be that. I did check, and based on the release date of The Lamb and how not quickly that is moving, I think I'm not getting The Lamb until like next month, or possibly the very end of this month. So I've gone over this before, but in our library system, you can request a book even if that book can't be sent to you for a while. And that's typically because that library that it's at is like holding it. Like they're keeping it in their circulation so that their patrons can get, like, are able to read it first, so it can't be requested out of the town or county or city or whatever. And I think that's what's happening with The Lamb, which is totally fine, but this has happened with popular books I have requested before, where I have to wait a really, really long time to get a hold of them because that library is prioritizing their patrons, which totally makes sense. So I'm just gonna wait it out, and I'll read it when it gets here. It would be lovely if it showed up before the end of this month. I would really, really appreciate that, but we'll just have to see. So yeah, so I will definitely have Private Rights and the last session to read still, and I do want to get to Mrs. March. So I have added a book. Worst case scenario, I won't read Mrs. March in this one, and I'll bump it to the next video, but we shall see. It is only Monday, and I didn't start this vlog until Thursday, I think. So I have plenty of time, but I'm gonna go. This is the end of my lunch break. Also, super random, but we have lived in our house for almost 5 years now, and we have never had like solicitors come to the door. Also, depending on where you live, I know a solicitor is a lawyer in like the UK. These are people who like come to talk to you and about like religion. And my dogs were going absolutely wild. And so I like ran downstairs because I was like, maybe it's a delivery, maybe it's the mail. Occasionally we get stuff you have to sign for, and we won't get a warning about it. And it's a lot of like my stuff. I have some medication that I have to sign for. Nothing super, it's asthma meds. For some reason they've added a signature when it didn't used to be signature. So I like ran downstairs thinking like, oh, I have to sign for something. I have to check something. And there are these two older men holding iPads and pieces of paper. And I was like, oh no. And I like come down, and our front porch has a door on it itself. So they were standing on our front steps, and I did not open the door. And the guy's like, oh, hello, do you have time to talk about? And I was like, I am very sorry, I'm working. Because this happened before my lunch. And I was like, I need to go. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Have a lovely day. And like walked away. And I was like, oh my God, we've never had one at our house ever. And I'm like, why would you solicit in this area? I only say this because our, like, not our strip of street specifically, but depending on how far down you go from our house, it is not particularly safe. And I just like, even if you're an older white guy, I still don't think you'd want to like knock on doors if they happen to be how can I phrase it? Math labs or hug dens. Does that make sense? I mean, there's not, I don't know that any of that exists down there, but like there are some sketchy houses. So yeah, I don't know, but I gotta go. My lunch break is about to be over. I just happened to finish it and I wanted to tell you. And then hopefully the next clips you will see will be library stuff. But yeah, I will talk to you in a bit, Gremlins, or I won't be talking at all because we'll be at the library and I'll be whispering very quietly. All right, talk to you sometime later today, Gremlins.
Behold my very cool library. It's very fancy indeed, very fancy. Those fountains don't work because there's an electrical problem. And then there's an arboretum. So technically all the trees are like labeled, and that one's a buckeye tree, I think. But I'm headed in, so I can't film like walking in because there's lots of people, but I will film a little bit inside. Okay, so we're in the south reading room. I normally can't show this because I do events in this one, but there's no one in here. There are people in the other rooms, so I can't film as much of like big fancy room, but there's that. There's a lot of art. There are certain rooms I can't really show you because they're like upstairs, and I'm not going upstairs, but I can show you this stuff. That TV is not normally here. And there's this. There's a really cool like classwork, other stuff. I'm sure that camera works, and they're probably like, what are you doing? I did ask though, and they did tell me I was allowed to film as long as no one was around. They had an event, and I was like, am I allowed to film? So as long as you're not bothering any patrons, you're fine. Ooh, look at the fancy trash can. Alright. And I'll show you the red room. This one's really cool. It's the Napoleon room. And these ones are closed, like no one's in them. Ooh, wow, that is a risque bust. Then it might readjust. There we go. Then I'm not sure what's in there. Then statue stuff. You could actually get some of those quotes tattooed on you during the tattoo event where I got my tattoo. This do like really awkward. So all of the zodiac symbols are on those, and that's flower. And then that's really cool, but there's someone in there, so I'm not gonna film that bit. But yeah, there's that. I'll show you a little more in a sec, but I'm gonna stop recording. Actually, what I'll do is this. Just walk. Ta-da! And then I filmed this one before. And then I'm gonna go down just in case. Oh, cool. Okay, this is the large print reading room. There's some stuff here. There's always a puzzle. They pick like a random one. Oh, it's pizza. But I filmed this one a few times. That painting's really cool. Yeah, this is my library. They had their big like 120th. I really like this fireplace. I think it's just really cool. And I like these. They're so creepy. But yeah, so large print room. I have some books to pick up. I wanted to film a little since this is the library vlog. But yeah, it worked out because no one's really here. But I normally just film the like super pretty parts of the library, like the really fancy ones. I really like the ceiling. It's really cool. But yeah, let's stand over here. Ooh, I could sit. Behold the not so fancy chair. All right, I'll sit for like 2 seconds. Behold. Hi, that's really awkward. So normally I don't film like upstairs because that's where the kids stuff is, like the children's room stuff and the teen room. So I don't film there very often because it's just really hard. And then the main area is normally really traffic filled. And then our basement here is just like racks and racks of books like that. So I haven't been filming because I've been doing like organization stuff and I don't want to get in their way. But there's some seating down there and like audiobooks and stuff. At some point I'll film it, but that area has the most books in it. So there's normally a lot of people. Or at least like a few people walking around, and I don't want to film anyone on accident. So yeah, I thought I would show you that just so you could see my library. But I gotta go pick up my book and I gotta run some errands. Sorry, I'm out of breath from like walking around. But I will talk to you in a bit. Gremlins also, Rites of Passage, the Julia Armfield book, is beautiful. It's so beautifully written already, and I'm only like 20 pages in, but I gotta go. I hope you enjoyed this little library tour, and well, the fancy part of the library tour. All parts of the library are secretly fancy because they have books, but this is the very architecturally jazzed up part of my library. But I'm gonna go. I gotta get my book. So talk to you later, Gremlins.
Hello, Gremlins. Okay, you're at a slightly different angle. I was messing around because the tripod was crooked, and now you're at an even weirder angle, I think. But I wanted to check in because, oh, this is bugging me. You can see way too much of the ceiling. Okay, hold on. Let's just adjust you without you falling into the sea. Maybe? That's a little better. Maybe. Anyway, I was really close to you. But it is right at the very end of my lunch break, and I need to be quick. I haven't really done any reading of Private Rites. I'm only on chapter 2. The chapters are pretty hefty, and they alternate points of view. So we have met all 3 sisters. So Isla, Irene, and Agnes. Isla is the oldest and a therapist. Irene is the middle child, and she has like an office job, but she didn't go to work for that. She just like isn't doing that job now because of the flooding and the apocalyptic nature of this book, where like it rains all the time and everything is flooded. And then oh gosh, then Agnes is their half sister, so she has a different mother, and as a baby she was like dropped off at the house. This is not in this description, but I'm just pointing it out so you like know the layout of the sisters. And Agnes currently works at a coffee shop. She's kind of like, like the only thing she really cares about is swimming before work. And then she kind of like, all the sisters have interesting behaviors. So Isla, while she's a therapist, sort of has these like almost intrusive thoughts where she wants to say something to like ruin everything going on around her. So she'll like fixate on an aspect of her patient and be like, oh gosh, don't call them bulging veins or big eyes or stuff like that. And then she'll like think it in her head consistently, like the name she shouldn't call them, or like she'll just want to do something strange. Then Irene, the middle sister, she's described by both of her sisters as sort of just angry. And she's like, I'm not angry all the time. And like, even now I'm not angry, but she's very combative. So anytime the sisters kind of talk to her, you get a scene that like shows an event that occurred with the three of them. She like pushes back, even if it's a compliment, to be like, well, why are you saying that? Like, why does that matter? Why are you bringing this up? And everyone's like, okay, Irene. And so Irene is like pushier, and Isla says she's beautiful, and it bugs her because Isla is the oldest, and she's like, I should be beautiful, I'm the oldest. And then Agnes, right? Agnes, oh gosh, my nose started to itch, and I was trying to ignore it. Okay. And then Agnes is, again, the youngest. And Isla remembers like kind of taking care of her periodically. And so, but she has this like weird issue kind of where she like doesn't always remember how old she is or like her own identity. She'll just be like, well, it's Agnes. Agnes is younger. Like, it's just Agnes. But like Agnes has her own personality. The interesting thing with Isla is kind of constantly apologizing or like rephrasing or like can't get to the point around her sisters because she's like hedging her language so much. And we do learn that their father was basically a jerk. He has actually almost died before, and they've kind of done this song and dance of like, oh, Dad's in the hospital, and this time he's actually dead. He did briefly die, they inform you, but it didn't stick. They did not say that. I feel like they don't like him. They've talked about how I'm gonna put this down, how he was just like an overbearing personality and just like didn't seem to really want to be around them. And at this point in their lives, none of them had really been interacting with him. Isla had gotten him a live-in housekeeper, and that woman was taking care of him and is the person who took him to the hospital when the events that led to his death occurred. That's all we know. In the synopsis, it says they like are going back to the house, like their father's home, and that's gonna have to happen eventually. Right now they've like met up and are discussing things, so they do meet up, but that is tied to the rest of the novel. Again, not all of this is in the synopsis. I'm just giving you a general idea of everyone so that you kind of know going in, solely because the chapters switch viewpoints by putting the name of the sister or occasionally the city that occurred. There was one like point of view of the city in chapter 1. They'll be right next to their paragraph, and then it'll be everything after that is that sister. And then there isn't always a page break, but it'll show the other sister's name and you'll switch to the other sister. So I'm just kind of giving you an idea of who each sister is because the chapters are broken up kind of with like their name just sort of popped next to it. So I think knowing who they are in general will help, especially because Isla and Irene are both I names. Also, everyone I think is queer. So Isla Isla's partner is identified by she, her pronouns. Then we learn that Irene has a partner that uses they, them pronouns. And then Agnes is Agnes. And there is a very descriptive moment in her very first introduction where I was like, oh, okay. And that's all I will tell you. I was expecting it to be pretty queer in general, just because Our Wives Under the Sea was, but it is nice to know that I was correct and it is queer, and I'm very excited about that. But that's all I'm really telling you. So far, I, again, have not gotten very far, but I just want to give you an idea of all the sisters, verify for you that, yes, indeed, this is a queer literary fiction novel, and that's all I've got. I really love... Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. I had seltzer water right before I hit record, and I knew I was gonna like hiccup or burp, and I was like, please don't do it, and I kind of did. But the writing that, yes, Armfield, I keep wanting to call her the wrong name, but I really enjoy Armfield's writing. I will say some scenes are very beautifully described. Some things are very blunt depending on the character, and I just like really enjoy her writing style a lot. So that is very fun. I'm hoping to read some tonight. Krista's Court, which really just means I'm going to read while the dogs do stuff. But the weather is nice, so hopefully I can take the two younger dogs out to play. They sometimes run around, especially if I bring treats. So we're gonna see if I can do that, unless the weather completely changes and it starts to rain, because it was raining earlier. It's not supposed to, but you never know. So they'll do that. kind of wear themselves out, and then presumably I'll read a little. We'll see. I don't know. I do want to get through this and the last session, but I do want to get through these two at least, like this one and the next one. Again, Mrs. March may have to wait until another vlog, but we shall see. I gotta go though, because I've talked for way too long and I need to do things. So, oh, did I tell you that Krista got us Chipotle? She brought us lunch. It was very nice of her. Especially because we're not eating dinner until late. But the Chipotle was really good. So, yes. All right. Gonna talk to you later, Gremlins. When I have updates on something, maybe. All right. Bye for now. Good morning, Gremlins. Be shocked. Be amazed. I'm wearing a real sweater and not a sweatshirt. I actually have to give a workshop. It is a bit before work. Not a lot before work, but a bit before work. I just want to very quickly point out that I'm wearing an actual sweater because I may or may not be on camera. I honestly don't know. So I'm in the sweater in the event that I have to pop my camera on and someone needs to see me. I've already done physical therapy. I've already made a cup of coffee. I used the same cup yesterday. I washed it, but I'm using the same cup today. Not exciting, but we currently have a water filter, like a part of a water filter system in our sink because it was leaking. It's a whole thing. And so I'm trying to like not use as many cups so the sink doesn't get super full. I'm taking a sip. But I thought I would just be like, hey, look, behold my sweater. I have a workshop. Also, I only have 90 something pages of this left. It is so good. I'm in part 2 now, and we're getting a character named Stephanie and a character named Jude's perspectives now, as well as the sisters. So that's interesting. We got a lot of big reveals at the very end of part 1. And this is like, it's like slice of life, but there is a plot, but it's like a slow plot because it's really just like tension within the family. I love it. I'm loving it. I wanted to read more, but it was getting late and I really needed to like turn the lights off, go to bed. So I am going to finish this today, come heck or high water. But I gotta go. I just want to give you that brief update and then I'll try and finish this during lunch. I think that's doable. And then, yeah, then I move on to the last session. But I gotta go. This kind of matches my outfit. I should take a photo with it actually in this. Maybe I'll put on makeup. Who knows? All right. But yes, talk to you in a bit, Gremlins, when I am in lunch after work. I don't know yet. I need to put this down though. So there you go. All right. Talk to you at some point, Gremlins. Hello. I have finished it. Well, it's after work now, but I did finish it during lunch. This is so good. It's not as good as Our Wives Under the Sea, which is not its fault. That one is a shorter book, fewer points of view. The dogs are barking because stuff is going on. But I did still really enjoy this, and the ending of this, because I have not read King Lear, I'm guessing, was absolutely wild. I though will say it just sort of, I kind of want to say this happens in Our Wives Under the Sea too. The book just sort of like ends. There is a resolution of sorts, but not everything is figured out. But this was a really wild time. You are truly just following a lot of points of view as events are unfolding, and also during this very watery apocalyptic world. So I feel like Armfield really likes using water as like a conduit for her storytelling, because Our Wives Under the Sea is all about how the sea has altered someone, and then like that being a big element, like water is involved a lot with one of the characters and her existence. And in this, water is also tied in to everything that's going on because everything is flooding, the world is ending seemingly, but like no one really knows what to do because they've possibly hit the crisis point too late. Like they don't know what's going on or how to fix it. And just like this, there's so many odd moments that you don't even, like I didn't even really think about, and some characters even kind of explain them away for you, and then they come back to mean something. So I'm just like, what? So this was very interesting to read. I desperately wanted to just like sit and read the whole thing, but like that, it wasn't a week where I could do that. Especially by the time I got to this book. There are some books that I could kind of do that with. But I do, if you liked Our Wives Under the Sea, I think you would like this. If you read King Lear, you'd possibly like this even more. I have no idea, as I have not read King Lear. I even asked Krista if she'd read King Lear, and she was like, no, and I haven't even ever seen it performed. So I knew nothing going into this, and I didn't really want to. Like, I was like, oh, it's a retelling. And sometimes I do. Like, I love Carmilla, and so if it's a Carmilla retelling, sometimes I'll reread Carmilla in advance, or I'll, like, refresh myself a bit so that I remember what to expect kind of going into it. But this, no idea. Have no idea. So I enjoyed this. I just like Armfield's characterizations and how she kind of writes what a character is going through, what a character is thinking. And so it's just interesting to see. We did primarily stick to the sisters. There were some other points of view brought in that I mentioned, but we are really following the sisters and the drama that's unfolding following the death of their father. in this wild post-apocalyptic world and this very weird house. So I really enjoyed it. The ending was very interesting. Again, maybe only interesting if you don't know anything about King Lear. I have no idea, but I really, really enjoyed this. I really wish I could have read it in like one fell swoop, which is kind of what I did with Our Wives Under the Sea, if I remember correctly. I read that all pretty close together, but I had to take a lot of pauses with this one. But I did enjoy it. I think if you liked Our Wives Under the Sea, you will like this. Primarily the writing style and her use of water. But that does mean that we're on to the last, well, not the last book. We're going to try and get to Mrs. March. We'll see. So the next book is on the floor, so I'm not gonna pick it up, will be The Last Session by Julia Bartz. I don't know that I'm starting it tonight. I'll probably start it sometime tomorrow, and we'll see. I really want to try and fit all these books into one vlog. I'm trying. I could just keep it going, but I don't want it to be too wildly long. We'll see. But I'm curious to read it because I liked The Writing Retreat. The Writing Retreat was just pure unbridled chaos. So will this be chaotic? Will I not like this as much? We shall see. It's interesting that I'm reading like, I think their debuts for both of these authors and then their like second book, or maybe their second popular book. I'm not entirely sure. I briefly read Armfield's description, but I don't know. I feel like Our Wives Under the Sea was her like big book, like her first larger book, but I gotta go. I will update you when I have things to update you on. There was a lot of talk of wine in this book, so I kind of want a glass of wine. So maybe we'll do like a glass of wine with dinner or something, but I will talk to you later, gremlins, when we're on to The Last Session. Let's hope for unbridled chaos. Hello, good morning, gremlins. It is right before work. I have to make this quick because it's like a very busy morning. It's totally fine. I will get it handled, but it's very busy. So I am here in my Ouija sweater. Did I wear this in this vlog already? I don't know. I rotate my sweatshirts that are like in this particular drawer, kind of like, oh, I wore this one and then like they're in kind of a rotation, and I was cold, so I grabbed this one. I'm not gonna complain that I am cold because eventually it's going to get so hot that I'm going to be wearing like only t-shirts and very like short shorts that no one can see on camera because I will be sweating my butt off in my office. I do have an AC unit I can set up in here, but sometimes it's like really hard to do. I do have this huge fan over here that I do use and it's really helpful, but I'm just gonna relish the fact that I don't have to be wearing a t-shirt and shorts right now. So yeah, I don't know if I wore this one or not, but I'm wearing it right now. Brain. I'm also drinking coffee. I like randomly out of the blue today was like, I want to use one of my Halloween cups. So I'm using my Sanderson Sisters Museum mug. I really like this mug. I got this at Spirit Halloween ages ago and it's possibly my favorite Hocus Pocus mug. But I like randomly got it in my head today that I wanted to use it. I don't know why. I was just like, I want to use that cup. So I'm gonna take a sip and then really fast, hold on. I have not read anything. Last night, Krista and I watched a ton of Prison Break. The show is like addictive, but also we were discussing the fact that there is just like a lot, like the writing for women on that show is not great. There's a lot of violence towards women in the later two original seasons. There's like a reboot season that's season 5, but like there's a lot of like violence against women or like hints of violence against women where like something happens and you're like told that's what happened. And it's just like very strange because there's not a lot of women in the show. And then like one of the characters is horrible. So like he does horrible things periodically to women that you either see on screen or you don't. So I was just like, I really like this show, but also I really wish whoever was in the writer's room had maybe been like, perhaps no to some of the things. But unrelated to my Prison Break show, that's the show's from the early 2000s. I actually think the original seasons were on while I was in high school. I believe. Just so it's not like this is relevant, up-to-date information for all of you. But I did want to tell you about, I was going to read the synopsis to you of this book really fast because I am going to start it at some point today, during my lunch probably. But I'm very intrigued, also concerned. I feel like this is even bigger than The Writing Retreat. I feel like every book I've picked up from an author who wrote a first book that I really liked, I've been like, why is it so big? I even said that at the library. I was like, that's really how big it is. And the librarian was like, yeah, sorry. Like, she's just kind of like, yeah, it is. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I thought it was like, it was just like a random thing for me to say. And I was like, I for some reason thought it would be shorter. Cause it's like a thriller. Like I don't know. I think it's thriller. How is this classified? Does it have one? Do we remember a bajillion years ago when sometimes books used to say like what their genre was in the description, I swear there were books I used to get at the library. And they weren't library editions, but it would say like thriller / mystery in like the corner of the cover, like on the near the blurb. So you could be like, oh, great. Or like, oh, no, I don't want to read a thriller right now. I didn't make that up. I know some books used to have that. Maybe it was just really old books, or there was like a trend in publishing to put it. I don't know. But this is the last session. I'm very excited about it. I do really want to read it, but last night Krista and I just wanted to chill. We did have to run some very quick errands, but then we came home and we drank pink wine and we watched Prison Break and had dinner. And it was very relaxing and very nice. So we just like hung out a little bit because she's been really busy and she was pretty tired. But here is the blurb. I'm not reading you the whole thing because it does that thing at the bottom where it's like boom, 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 kind of. There's little dots. Those have a name. I can't remember what they are. Anyway, welcome to the Center for Relational Healing, where a weekend getaway will change your life for better or for worse. When a catatonic woman shows up at her psychiatric unit, social worker Thea swears that she knows her from somewhere. She's shocked to discover the patient holds a link to a traumatic time in her own past. Upon regaining lucidity, the patient claims she can't remember the horrific recent events that caused her brain to shut down. Thea at a loss. Especially when the patient is ripped away from her as suddenly as she appeared. Determined to find her, Thea follows a trail of clues to a remote center in southwestern New Mexico, where a charismatic couple holds a controversial monthly retreat to uncover attendees' romantic and sexual issues. Oh, good God. That's where I'm going to stop. If you did not read The Writing Retreat, you will know that it is so just whether you read it or not, I'm going to tell you that in that book, there are random scenes where you're like, oh, whoa, what are you doing? So I feel like that's going to happen again. And that was part of the unbridled chaos of the last one. That one was queer. At least, yeah, it was queer. Though it was kind of, that doesn't quite work as an example. I almost said Black Swan, but that is incorrect technically. I'm not going to get into it any further than that because I'll spoil Black Swan and that book possibly. Just like think about it if you've seen Black Swan. If you haven't seen Black Swan, you should watch it. But yeah, so I'll be reading this. This is a chunky baby. Oh, that's so cute. I'm going to show you this at the back. This is like an adorable little thing that they're doing. This is 356 pages. Great. Probably 355. They have, okay, so this is from the Krogan Free Library. I've never seen this before. I don't know if it'll focus, but they have this little like, tell us how we're doing kind of thing. It's a little post-it. Oh, that's so cute. Patron tracking and review. I don't want to write in that. I don't want to mess it up. It's just so cute. Like, they got it to me really fast. I don't know. That's so cute. Anyway, I need to go. I will update you when I have things to update you on. Krista may be bringing us home lunch from this cafe I like, Christy Beans, and that'd be very exciting because they have the sandwich I really like and they have this coffee I really like, and it would just be a lovely boost to the day. But I do need to go. So I will talk to you later, Gremlins, about the last session or my lunch. One or the other. I haven't decided yet. All right, talk to you in a bit. Good morning. Yes, it is still morning. I am giving myself like a tiny break because I came into work super early to work on something that needed to get done like ASAP. But it is done. I am finished with things. And this is probably a little annoying for you. I actually finished the last session. Now, I had initially planned to like do some kind of update midway through. That just didn't happen. I had read some during lunch. I read some last night. Krista just put on like a movie and I read while it was on. And then I finished a little bit this morning. So I was up pretty early, but I did finish it. Okay. So there are trigger warnings for this book. I admittedly am not going to tell you them. I will point out, I'm only not telling you them because they're on the front, and also some of them I think have keywords that are a problem for videos, but this is interesting. I did read you the synopsis. I did not like this as much as the Writing Retreat, but I can tell it's the same author, and I feel like this author has certain things they really like to examine in their writing. So from what I remember, it's been a minute since I read The Writing Retreat, but I do remember that story involving some discussion of previous events affecting the present. There was also, I mentioned Black Swan, and in that one, I remember our main character having these sort of hallucinatory moments that involved sexual encounters. This is a bit different than that, but I had told you the synopsis vaguely, but we are following Thea primarily. There is a section at the very end of this book that follows another character. Won't tell you which one, but there is a moment where you like learn some backgroundy stuff from that character. It is about a cult. It is about going to this wellness center. That's all in the description. And it is about Thea being confronted with her own traumas, other people's traumas, just a lot of things. So a lot of this ties into a film. So there is discussion of a movie called Stargirl that Thea was obsessed with growing up when she was like a teenager, and it was in part because the main character reminded her of herself. And the main character is played by a woman named Catherine, who looks a lot like her. That is not really 100% in the description, but I'm just throwing that out there. That's the person she meets. I'm gonna put this down because it's hard to gesture. Part of what is odd to me about this book is I do think it is very long. It takes us a long time to get to Mexico. And then once we're in Mexico, we are following things. I kind of just wish we'd gotten to Mexico faster so that, or it's New Mexico, sorry. But I just kind of wish we'd gotten to the wellness retreat a bit faster because things do pick up while we're there, but it is still a bit slow. And they start setting up these like thoughts on past lives, which that part was interesting. But then there's these elements where like we kind of see lives, and I don't want to spoil anything, and I won't tell you like how it happens, but we are given some insight into characters and like their lives prior to New Mexico, but in kind of an odd way, where like stuff just, it throws you off a bit. And it does make sense with the kind of like mystical elements. There are mystical elements in this. And I do remember Writing Retreat having a similar kind of like, not mysticism exactly, but like casual kind of magic almost. And like, I kind of feel that in here too. So like, it definitely feels like a book written by the same person who is very interested in just like, I want to call it casual fantasy almost. Because that's sort of what it is. This past life stuff starts bringing up kind of the idea that like magic-y things can happen to you, sort of. And like Thea is a fine character to follow, but I kind of, and again, you can focus on examining a trauma, working through a trauma, and a lot of that is part of Thea's journey, and then that trauma ties into other things. But there is a lot of focus on this moment that occurred to Thea when she was 13 that is very uncomfortable to read, which books can be uncomfortable. But we then learn that this moment is very tied into Thea's like everyday existence basically. And it's alarming because she does say she has met with a therapist, and I'm like, that therapist should have done more. Like as soon as she was like, I went to a therapist, I brought this up, and then her therapist advice just seems wrong to me. And I am not a therapist, but I'm just gonna, if your patient has to relive a trauma consistently to experience something that they believe is, no. So I'm going to rephrase that because it's really difficult because I don't want to spoil it. But if you were a therapist, just assume this, and you had someone come to you, or even just a friend, who was like, in order to reach climax, I have to revisit a trauma that impacted my entire life at the age of 13. And I'm just like, the advice the therapist gives her is like, oh, you don't have to tell people that. You can keep that in your head. And I'm like, this person has told you they can only feel completion. I'm gonna hope you understand what I'm talking about because I'm pretty sure I can't say some things. And like, they have to revisit a trauma that is so like, it's just bad. Like, this traumatic moment for her involves what feels like a non-consensual situation. Even though technically, sure, whatever. But in that moment, she is 13. And I do not think that at 13, based on the events that occur in this trauma, she was consenting. Not officially, not like, she may have thought she was, but I don't think any of that was consensual. And I'm like, why as a therapist? Because she says her therapist like broke off contact, all this stuff. And I'm like, you told her it was fine to be reliving that. And then I'm just like, that it's not. Like, I feel like she would have needed like more work, or maybe a different therapist who was more like open to discussing this trauma, or like unwrapping the trauma. Because the other issue is that the trauma, like, And it's not the fact, she's like, oh, well, some people have like a kink. And there are people who do, who have certain kinks that involve degradation. They do, and that's totally fine. What hers is not that. Hers is like, I have to picture the trauma. I have to live in that moment. And I'm like, no, someone should have been like, you need help. Like, we need to dig into that deeper. We need to find you some, like, a way to process this in a healthy way, because it's not healthy for her. And like, she's still like so connected to all of that. And then it's weird because later in the book, a scene happens, which again, that scene, probably consensual. Everyone is drunk as hell, but whatever. At the end of it, someone's like, oh, we wanted to give you good feelings towards that. And I'm like, okay, technically, yes, that is fine. But also, you're not a therapist. And you were involved. Like, I was just, so I just feel like some things are handled very strangely. And I don't like that they're handled strangely. And so it's like making me like worried for Thea overall. Like, my concern was like, if Thea if I knew Thea, like Thea was someone I knew, I would be so concerned. Like, I was like, none of this is okay. No one has actually helped you work through something that was very traumatizing, very significant to your development as a human being. And I'm just like, what? That happened, and like, that's not gonna fix it, and it doesn't. The thing that occurs, there's a discussion of other things, and I'm being vague because this is near the end of the book that some other stuff happens, and I'm just like, I just don't, no. I mean, it's fine. She is allowed to do things as a consenting adult now, and I'm not faulting that, but the way it was then described after by someone in the situation with her, I was like, no, you are not a person qualified to say that should help you move past it. Because, one, not a doctor. Two, no. Like, just no. So a lot of it, I was like, why? So I do think it's too long. I do understand having that element in it. That's fine, because it technically is what she uses to explain why she's there. And then they kind of use that point to connect Thea to other people. But I'm still like, that is a lot to like have as the focus. Like, a lot of the focus is on like relationships that are unsafe, moments that were traumatizing, bad moments in someone's life. And I'm like, could we have just like found a different thing? Like, that everyone could be connected through, kind of. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. It's a quick read, but also like, I just felt more like, I understand there was some stuff in the writing retreat that would make people uncomfortable. I do. But that one felt more like, oh, we are following a wild person who has some horrible thoughts and is also maybe a bit unhinged. And I was fine with that. Thea is not unhinged. A lot of people around Thea unhinged. But Thea is like dealing with unhinged people, her own trauma, and then people not helping her with her trauma. And I'm like, what? Why? I don't know. Some of it just felt like unnecessary. And then like the ending felt like a bunch of stuff happened, and then the ending chapter just felt kind of drawn out because Thea still hadn't been able to process her trauma. And I'm just like, what are we doing? It was fine. It just kind of wasn't what I was hoping for, but then did have elements that I was expecting, kind of, because of the previous book, but it was just handled in a way that I didn't enjoy. And I feel like some things could have been removed and I would have liked the story more. But I don't know. That might just be me. I don't know. If you read this one, could you let me know what you thought? Because I just like wanted to enjoy it, enjoyed parts of it, but like collectively as a novel, I did not enjoy the entire thing. So I don't know. This one is, I also, again, don't do star rating, so I'm not giving it that. I'm just like, like, I'm curious to read something else by Bartz solely to see if like I notice the same things occurring again. Because there's some authors who kind of continue plot elements, not the story, but like they pull the same things into their plots, and I'm wondering if this is just always going to be consistent. And if that's the case, like, I'm totally fine with like casual mystically things as part of the plot. That's fine. But like, if we're always going to be using sex as a focus where the character is like dealing with trauma from an event, or is like responding to certain events by falling back on that. I just don't know if I'd want to keep reading if it's always going to involve events that tie into like uncomfortable traumas related to sexual experiences. And I just don't know that I just don't really want to keep reading that. So yeah, I don't know. If you read this one, again, please tell me what you thought, because I really need to know what people thought. I remember Gabby reading this one and she did not like it. And I can definitely see why. And like what's annoying is I liked parts of it. I just didn't like it collectively because of some things in the story. And that annoys me a bit. Cause yeah. Also, it's just too long. Like some of it could have been taken out and then maybe I'd be fine with it because stuff wouldn't have been there. But yeah, so I finished that one and I have decided, even though this video is probably too long and this clip is very long because I did not plan to talk about the entire book in one go, I am going to read Mrs. March and then we'll end the video because I wanted to include that in here and I'm going to. So the plan is Mrs. March. It's on the floor, so I'm not gonna go get it. But no, the next book is Mrs. March Gremlins, and I will talk to you before I finish it, I promise. I would like to read it to finish this vlog, because I had always wanted it in this vlog. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. But I will talk to you later. I need to go. So that is my update for you. Yeah. Next book, Mrs. March, which should be also possibly Unhinged. I don't know. It's by the author of Victorian Psycho, just FYI. It is their debut novel. The Victorian Psycho is like Fido's, I think it's Fido. Victorian Psycho was their second book. So this is the debut. My librarian informed me that it was good. So I am very curious, but I gotta go. I will talk to you later about Mrs. March Gremlins. Hello. It is after lunch. Krista and I just had one of the Cook Unity meals we have, though apparently they did something weird and now they don't offer this dessert thing that we were supposed to get as part of signing up, so we probably won't be getting Cook Unity for very much longer. Just because Krista, admittedly, this is she is a lawyer and it is super annoying, but they'll have you sign a contract and then Krista will be like, what do you mean that's not part of the service anymore? And so in our contract it said we get free desserts for a year, and it's been 3-4 weeks of these desserts, and now they're saying they don't do desserts anymore. So Krista was like, but the contract I signed said I get free desserts for a year because I signed up. And they're like, yeah, no, we just don't make them anymore. And she was like, okay, are you going to compensate me for the free desserts you said I was going to get for an entire year when I signed up? They're like, no. And so that's frustrating. And then she's like, she doesn't point out that she's a lawyer typically. She'll just be like, it's in a contract, you're violating a contract. And they're like, what? No, sorry, just not a thing. So she was like, yeah, that's really frustrating. And she was like, and they keep getting rid of the meals that I pick. So we've picked different meals and they've been fine, but we've had some meals that were bad. Some of our shipments have showed up and the food is damaged. So it's really weird. This is a tiny event. We had it for lunch. The one we had for lunch was pretty good. It was salmon with potatoes thing. That was good. Some of them are good. So I don't know, maybe it's just not our area isn't a good fit. It's also weird that you would offer something and then take it away well before the terms that you agreed to end. And they used to do commercials that were oh, you get free cookies, which would also be a dessert. And I'm just kind of yeah, okay. So apparently they just don't do desserts anymore. So I don't know. We're gonna try something else out after we finish up a couple more weeks, because we're preset for some, and they told us the free dessert we're supposed to get anyway goes up to a certain date. So we'll probably just end it after that, because then the contract we signed won't exist. So that's a whole thing. Oh gosh, I just realized I have to do something, so I'll be right back to talk about Mrs. March. So hold on real quick. Okay, I'm back. That also worked out perfectly because the dog started barking, but I forgot to unplug my coffee pot, which is it's an Instapot Keurig kind of thing. But a couple weeks ago, the cats did something to it and it poured water all over our kitchen. So I just realized that because I made coffee, ta-da, same cup as yesterday. It is washed, but same cup. So I had made a cup of coffee at the end of my lunch break, so I would have it and be able to get stuff set back up. And then I realized I didn't unplug it. So I had to go down and unplug it and I'm back. But I have updates for you about Mrs. March. So these gloves are actually kind of like the gloves she was wearing in the book, though she says hers are calf skin and I think these are knit. But the setup of this, because I didn't read you the summary, I'm not going to read this entire thing exactly. So in this, Mrs. March is George March's wife, and she's only referred to as Mrs. March. They occasionally mention her former last name, like her maiden name, but that doesn't happen very often. Her husband has written a brand new book, and in the very first chapter, this is in the synopsis, her, like, the woman she goes to get baked goods from, she's like, oh, I feel like the main character, Joanna, is inspired by you. And she's like, what? Joanna is a horrible character. And she's deeply offended. And I'm gonna put this down. And so she's like so offended by this because she thinks the character is horrible. Even though she hasn't really read the book, she just kind of skimmed it because she hated the character so much. And she's like, what? What? And so like, she's so upset by this. And from that point on, she keeps thinking like, is she inspired by me? Does he think this of me? Does he, like, all of this stuff where she's like so fixated on the fact that he may have used character traits of hers for this character, or that he thinks she is this character. And I was like, oh my goodness, oh boy. But there's also this like slow panic arising in her where she's like possibly seeing things, or she's thinking people are saying things about her, and like we learn she has some curious ways of handling stress. And then she finds out that there was a murder in the town in Maine that her husband goes hunting at with a friend of his. So she now thinks perhaps her husband is a murderer. And so she's like fixated on that. We also learn they have a child named Jonathan who she frequently just like forgets about. Like she's like, oh, okay, Jonathan. So this definitely feels, the writing is very similar to Victorian Psycho. It also is set around Christmas again, so I don't know if she just likes Christmas as a background, but I started reading, I was like, Christmas? The other one said at Christmas too. And I was just like, this is so bizarre, because I wasn't expecting it. But like, I can kind of see, the characters are not the same. If you've read Victorian Psycho, our main character in that is far more out there. Grander delusions, larger reactions to things. It just, that one is very, very good. But this, I can see the tone, but we're in the head of a woman who is like repressing certain things, but in this moment is having a stress response, and that stress response is resulting in her acting out in very random ways, or like thinking something is going on, or not trusting everything. And like, it's so interesting to read. It is just like Victorian Psycho. I just want to keep reading because it is so interesting. You're like following things and you're learning random things about her as you go. But like in this one, whereas Victorian Psycho, you only kind of get some other characters, you do get a number of people kind of reacting to her. And in the section I'm in, her sister, something came up, and her sister's like, but, you do know that that was like not the only thing they wanted to talk to you about? Like, she's kind of like, ah. And so like, you're getting that maybe Mrs. March is not, allowing herself to remember all things. But there is a lot of very like, I must behave a certain way about her. And then she's so deeply unmoored when someone is like, oh, that. And she's just like, what? What? Like, she just like panics. And it's so interesting. I love a character study, and this is what this feels like. And it's just so well done. I desperately want to finish this. Also, on top of that, I have such exciting news. My hold for The Lamb is in. My hold for The Lamb is at my library. But it's Easter weekend, so I don't know what their hours are. I'm not going today to pick it up, but I'm gonna double check that they're open tomorrow, but I'm hoping to go tomorrow to pick it up and drop off my books because I will definitely have Mrs. March done tomorrow. My plan is to finish it tonight because Krista is gonna do a couple things around the house after dinner, and so I'm gonna try and plow through this then. But I'm just like, I'm so invested in it right now, and I'm so curious, and I don't know if the murder plot has kind of gone away but may come back. So I'm just like, what is happening? Is she going to completely lose it? Like, I'm just like waiting. Also, if you liked, I'm going to forget the author's name and I'm so sorry. There was a book called Mommy Dearest. Oh gosh. It was on Kindle Unlimited. Ivy Tholen. If you liked that, I think you will really, really enjoy Mrs. March. I also think you would really enjoy Victorian Psycho. So if you read that, or if you've read either of these and you haven't read Mommy Dearest, I think you would enjoy it. So I'm just throwing it out there. I know it's on KU. You can get physical copies, but I just remember I read it on KU when it came out. But yes, so I'm really enjoying Mrs. March. I look forward to telling you my final thoughts. But yes, I'm going to go. I'm just so excited that my copy of The Lamb is my hold. I'm getting it from the library. I'm trying to get as many books from the library as possible just to make it easier on me and to show support for my library, because I just want to support my library. Anyway, I gotta go. This is such a good book. I am loving the writing style. Also, you cannot exactly pin down what year it's set in. I believe we're in like a general 1970s, 80s, because there's TV, there's phone, and like, because at first I thought it was the 50s, but I'm not sure it's the 50s. I could be wrong. I feel like it's like the 70s or 80s, because there's like someone in tailored jeans wearing like boots, but I feel like our character is exemplifying like 1950s womanhood while we're not in the 1950s, because a lot of what she does feels very 50s, and I'm like, but I feel like that's not right. I don't think that's what year this is set in. But they haven't said the year. They did mention the Victorian period and how poison is lurking everywhere in the Victorian era, which is true. But yes, but I need to go. I want to fill you in. I will talk to you later, gremlins, when I have finished Mrs. March. And also I'm enjoying my coffee. It's lavender coffee, but it's not my like lavender fancy coffee I had. This one, oddly, if you're not thinking about it, it kind of tastes like tea, which confuses my brain a little. But I gotta go. I will talk to you later. Hello, gremlins. I had a Chloe right here, but she's going to lay down. It is a little ways after work, and I have finished Mrs. March. This gets, as I hoped, truly unhinged, but in the sort of unhinged a la American Psycho the movie a touch. I have read the book, but I feel like that differs a little bit. This Mrs. March truly descends into slight madness. This was a wild time. I did not want to put it down. It was so good. I just like desperately wanted to read it. So as soon as I had time after work, I plowed through it. So yeah, I finished it. I'm very excited. Oh, it was so good. It was a great way to end the video. The other reason I didn't want to finish on the last session is because it felt like such a letdown, because I had enjoyed so many other books, and that one just didn't do it for me. But this one is great. I would highly recommend, if you read Victorian Psycho, that you should read this one. It's not exactly the same. The writing style is similar, but the characters are different, and it is the obsession of Mrs. March as the story goes on is just so curious. I just like, this is so fast paced, even though it's bigger than Victorian Psycho. This was just so quick to read. So highly recommend. All right, let's see if I can remember all the books I read in this. So I read You Are Fatally Invited, which was all right. Solid thriller. Then At the Bottom of the Garden, which, oh, that one was fun. I did also enjoy that one. Again, I don't start. I'm just trying to remember what I even read in this, because I checked my list of books and I was like, what did I even read? Because there were so many of them. Okay, so there's 2. Then, oh my gosh, there's so many books. Then I read Private Rights. Yes, no. Was there a book in between there? I Had to Return Things. There's Private Rights. There's The Last Session. Mrs. March. I'm missing a book, aren't I? Oh my gosh. Hold on. Can I remember? Was that all of them? I feel like it wound up with 6 books. I did wind up with 6 books. What book has like fallen out of my brain? Okay, hold on. I know I did You Are Fatally Invited first. I know At the Bottom of the Garden was after that one. What book am I forgetting? Oh my gosh. Oh, this makes me feel very bad about my ability to remember things. Oh gosh. Because yeah, this would be book 6. So there's a book that I can't remember. And I took pictures of them, so you would think that would help. Okay, hold on. I remember taking that picture. And I remember, am I gonna have to look to figure out what the 3rd book was that has fallen out of my brain? And I liked everything, so why can't I remember what it was? Okay, hold on. Okay, hi, I had to go look at my list. I feel so dumb. It's They Bloom at Night. I think the only reason I forgot it is it's the shortest book that I read in this vlog, and I read it so fast that I read another book after it, like almost immediately, but They Bloom at Night, that one was incredible. Oh my gosh. So yeah, everything was solid. They Bloom at Night was incredible. One of the top ones. Mrs. March, very good. What else? And Private Rights. I really did enjoy the writing of that. Though I feel like at some point I should read King Lear just so I know like what was directly like inspired and what was like the author's like own interpretation. But yeah, no, that was it. So I feel very dumb because I feel like They Bloom at Night may have been my favorite of the books that I read. Yeah, I would say They Bloom at Night is actually my favorite. So maybe I was just like thinking it was in a different video at this point because I've had like so many, it's kind of been all over the place. But yeah, that one is actually my favorite, I think. So 6 library books in a lot of days. It was more than a week. But yeah, we did it. Actually, I think it was only in like 9 days, somewhere in there. But yeah, but that was fun. I actually will be picking up The Lamb very soon so I can read it. But that'll be in its own vlog. I'm not going to try and shoehorn it into here. But we did it. We read all the library books that I picked up. And my camera is dying. So look at that. I got to charge my battery. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe and become a lovely gremlin of the internet. And yeah, also maybe more library specific content. I had fun. So if you have books you want me to check out that I could get from my library, I will do that. But I'm going to go. So I will see you in the next one, gremlins. Bye.